Welcome back to Earth Chronicles, Book 1, The Fifth Pinnacle by H.G. Shuler. Chapter 18. Back to Loam. To Harlan's astonishment, there's a knock at the door, and it swings open instantaneously. Surrounded with illuminated white energy, he is on the verge of sending the 5 of them back through the multiverse to their own dimension in Lexington, Kentucky. He is startled to see another man enter the room. His appearance is of a glowing copper-like metal that's so bright it instantly causes all 5 of them to painfully squint their eyes. While they watch with difficulty, they see his eyes blaze with reflected light resembling gold gems. His body pulsates, radiating and illuminating the entire room with the copper-colored light. If you do this now, it is essentially very ignorant of you, the man said. Then he gives a quick, hard shake of his body, and the brightness reflecting from him dims and disappears. Sorry about the shine. It always happens when I materialize. Harlan gears down his attempt to enter the multiverse. Materialize, he shouted. The white aura of energy surrounding him dissipates as he steps forward toward the man. You obviously know something about us. Who are you? Why are you here? And he gives the man a cold, hard stare. And what is it you are wearing? The man cringes while looking himself up and down. No, this is not right. This is not even close. It's a Union soldier's uniform. I was supposed to have khaki pants and a blue button-up shirt. It's the dimensions. They're growing further apart and causing all sorts of problems. I've seen you before, shouts Angela while moving up next to Harlan. And your voice? I remember that voice. Tell me if I'm wrong. Of course, you're not wrong. It was during the war, right? The Civil War, before my regeneration. He takes his Union coat off, looking all around as if he doesn't know what to do with it. He tosses it across a small wooden chair. He looks at Angela. It happened as you say. I'm your watcher. My watcher. Yes. He points to Harlan. And his too. He swings his arm to James, then Grace. And his, and hers, then on to Timothy, but not his. Never saw him before. But you died. I saw you die at my feet. Oh dear, this won't do. This won't do at all. I never died. I'm not even sure if I can die. It was the body. I materialized, taking the form of a soldier. When I talked to you with only a voice, you got really upset. So I thought if I materialized, well, a darn farmer shot me, and then ran like a scared dog. It all went bad. When I left the dead body, I unexpectedly shot through the multiverse. That was my own fault, but I won't try to explain the regulations regarding the spirit realm. So, I ended up on Planet 3 in Russia of all places. Then I was called to headquarters to give a briefing, and by the time I got back, you had already moved to Tallahassee. Mr. Jenkins was in the process of regenerating you. I was called back to headquarters again and told to leave it be for the time being, but just to observe. Why are you here now? Harlan asked. We usually don't interfere, but like I said, the dimensions. Trouble has been building since the Civil War. By that time, the killings on Earth and Loam were starting to cause serious problems. In the multiverse, everything's connected. What happens here affects the other dimensions and vice versa. I tried to warn Angela way back then because it had already been decided that she was the next chosen one. She had everything we were looking for, but it was her understanding of the brain that tipped the scales. She doesn't know it just yet, but one day, we believe she will do things far surpassing the regenerating of people. Of course, you all may kill yourselves first. Anyway, you can see why we were trying to make sure that she went to Mr. Jenkins. That was my sole purpose for contacting her at that time. Later, the idea of a twofold leadership was brought up. Soon after it was agreed on, the wait for the Fifth Pinnacle continued on until now. It's clear that Mr. Lancaster was the other choice. We ran billions of individuals' DNA, along with their functional tendencies and innate qualities, to find the perfect match. But back to the dimensions. If you would have left here without my help, I can't say for sure where you would have ended up. In Lexington, probably, but even that's not certain. The Museum Hotel? In just the right room, doubtful. But I specifically brought us across dimensions to the Intercontinental Hotel here in London with no problems. Not exactly, Harlan. There are 2 Intercontinental Hotels in London. Your powers should have brought you to the one on London Park Lane. It's much safer there, none of those giant mechanical killing machines. Instead, you ended up in the Riverside area, where a lot of the German forces were invading. Your powers are enormous, Harlan, but your knowledge of using them is limited. You're like a child who hasn't learned how to walk yet, but once he does, there's no keeping up with him. It's the same with Angela, but she's a month or 2 behind you. The power to travel the multiverse. It won't be long now before she has it too. Now, let me get to the main reason I'm here at this particular moment in time. I've just come from a museum hotel in your home dimension, where I made a thorough examination of the structure. It's a well-built hotel of that, you can be sure. But there are some concerns. Points of highest pressure run extremely close to the room in which you will be addressing Solomon and Daniela. I've determined that although structurally sound, it won't remain standing if you enter into a direct power-to-power conflict with them. The resulting energy being released would be too much for the support system, which is mostly made of concrete and steel. Normally, they keep me tightly tethered. As is my title, I'm only a watcher. However, in this instance, I have received permission to give this communication. I believe at this point you understand the reasons. Harlan wraps his arm around Angela's shoulder. It's not our intentions to physically battle with him. We understand that. You and Angela have a wonderful plan, which you no doubt expect to have a nonviolent outcome. Tricking them by taking control of their waking consciousness, then injecting them with a memory loss drug, although not a peaceful solution, would not incur any damage to the building itself. Nevertheless, we have calculated an 80% chance that something will go wrong, resulting in the release of extraordinary power. Hypothetically speaking, between you and Angela, along with Solomon and Daniela, there's 100 times over enough power to destroy the building. All told, there will be 19 regenerated ones present. 11 of them, 4 of you, and 4 more handling security just outside the room. If a battle breaks out and everyone gets involved, it's possible that the building with all its occupants will be vaporized. Angela rests her head against Harlan's shoulder. What do you suggest we do? Suggest. Her head jerks back up. Yes. You must have some kind of recommendation. Surely. You're not just here to advocate peace. Don't you have a proposal? He picks up the vintage Union coat, looks at it with disgust, raises an arm out, and puts it back on. There is no suggestion, recommendation, or proposal. Then why are you here? To inform you, and I've done that. We've covered this. I'm only your watcher. But you're not being any help. If we asked you to disengage, would you? Of course not. And neither would Solomon and Daniela. But we have a good reason. They're going to kill billions of people. What will that do to the precious multiverse? You know exactly what will happen, and so do we. But they believe in their cause the same as you believe in yours. Unless our parliament convenes and changes age-old laws, we're not allowed to interfere in your battles, at least not directly. Your fate has to remain in your own hands. But that's absurd. You made us. Angela, you know more about the brain than anyone in all the 4 dimensions combined. You should know that allowing your emotions to take control of you at such a critical time as this will only... Tell you what, I'll take a little more time to explain things. But then we must go. There's much danger here. You understand that there are 4 dimensions of Earth, each connected but existing in their own separate universe. They were all constructed and went into use at the same time. This took millions of years. Finally, we constructed man and placed him in his completed home. 4 homes to be exact. We also allowed for significant expansion. In each universe, there are 148 other inhabitable planets. No need to get into that now, but those are the facts. As it stands right now, you have a quad-dimensional Earth, or a continuing to expand 2x2 matrix multiverse. All the dimensions are expandable through increased energy, which happens with growth in populations. But these dimensions can also collapse through energy fluctuations, which is what is occurring now. These dimensions are stacked like blocks one on top of another, side by side, a 2 by 2 matrix square. Your universe is above Loam's and directly next to the other dimensions. The discrepancy in energy between the two sides is enormous. This is due to the differences in populations, of course. Mankind still doesn't understand the huge amount of energy emitted by one single person. The energy is the bond that connects the four dimensions. The discrepancy in this energy is causing a gradual separating, also a warp that has each universe bowing at its ends. If the bowing continues, it will eventually wrap around and touch, much like a sphere. It's already close to happening. If it does, time as you know it will change. This will create portals connecting time periods. History 50 years apart will be happening at the same time. He looks again at the Union Code. I think it might be starting. Travel between dimensions will be even more tricky. Within a few weeks of all this, the multiverse will collapse. The odds of a complete collapse are so high that discussions have already taken place on whether to rebuild the Matrix after its destruction. The early discussions are not favorable. 2 of the Earths, including your own, have become widely militarized, fighting and killing constantly. The 2 others remain at peace. Their number of inhabitants have now over doubled your own. We calculate total destruction within a month, corresponding with Solomon and Daniela's mass execution of Earth population. Sounds like you're telling us we don't have a chance. And I'm not so sure you even care. I'm telling you we can't interfere or impede with the results. We didn't create you to control you like puppets. You 4 are the best chance the multiverse has of surviving. Find a way to make use of the information you've just been given. If you win out over Solomon and Daniela, then you can use your enormous power to bring peace to this dimension of Earth. It will be enough to stop the imploding of the multiverse. Maybe then, by your interdimensional travels, you could help Loam toward the goal of peace. In some ways, technologically speaking, they are years behind your Earth, but they are far more destructive. If peace doesn't come here, we calculate 50 to 60 years before they implode the multiverse. You seem to know a lot about our people, so I got a question for you. We've not much time. What's your name, sir? Timothy. While we're at it, you never really mentioned yours. I didn't. Well, no. You just came in, flashing light everywhere, blinding us and telling us what a mess we've made of everything. Timothy, if it's all the same to you, I think I'll keep that out of my report. My name's Curtis, but I go by Kurt. I've been told more than a few times I can be blunt, so I get what you're saying. What's your question? This war with Germany. How does it end? I only ask because you seem to know everything else. You won't like the answer, but we calculate a 98% chance Germany wins. Everywhere they're fighting, they're driving the other side back. They have an engineer named Portia that's light years ahead of the rest of the world. I'm sure you've noticed he's come up with some pretty sick weapons. I thought about staying here since it looks so bad on the other side. But 80% sound a lot better than 98. So, if they'll have me, I'm still going. Maybe I can even help the cause. If you stay here, you'll most likely be killed. If you go with these 4, chances are not much better, especially since you're not regenerated. But if things go their way, you could be living a very long time. Speaking of time, we don't have much. Warplanes are being sent back to this part of the city. By the time they are done, there won't be much left. Harlan, anytime you're ready. With both of us concentrating, it'll be a snap. We'll land right square in the middle of that museum hotel room. When we get there, remember to use the information I've given you. At all costs, do not allow the situation to plunge into a physical battle. If it does, try to contain it, to end it quickly. You still have some time to work with, and about a month before it reaches the critical point. Timothy, since you're not a regenerated one, you're going to feel a tingling of the skin, maybe even a little pain with it. You're also going to lose your hearing for the first couple minutes. Don't worry, it's normal. Harlan, once we get there, I'll be of no help. I can only observe. Angela, don't lose sight of your brain research. Aging is not how man was constructed. Regeneration is only a band-aid. Keep searching, keep studying. I can't tell you more. It's not allowed. Your fate is in your own hands. Harlan, it's time we go.
That's the end of Chapter 18. Stay tuned for more from Earth Chronicles Book 1, The Fifth Pinnacle by H.G. Shuler. Audiobooks on YouTube. Next, Chapter 19,